What up guys, so today I'm back with probably one of my most favourite series I did from a very long time ago, Podcast Ascension. Now today I'm doing it a little bit differently because I kind of want to change it, but I'm currently on, obviously, Wrath of the Lich King Alpha, as you can see by the guild name. The Wrath of the Lich King Alpha is out. I've got it, don't really know why, but Today I'm going to be talking about Death Knights, or at least my suggestion of how to do Death Knights on Ascension. Now, before I start, I know this will cause a lot of shit for people, because a lot of people just want Death Knight skills free. Right? Just there, free, all of them available all the time, it's just like all the other classes like Warrior or Rogue, right? For me, personally, as someone that joined Ascension to eventually play Wrath and do Death Knight shit, and you know, kill the Lich King, I don't want that. But I have 3 or 4 examples that could maybe make it a bit more enjoyable, while also trying to fix some of the flaws, realistically, in Ascension as a whole. So, before I start talking about it, right, remember to like, subscribe and share, and check out all my other videos. Now, let's jump in. So, as you know, this is the builder. Right, this is how you build your spec, this is where all the talents and stuff are. Now, as you can see on the top row with all the classes, there is some gaps to the left and to the right of, obviously, Druid and Warrior. Now, there's only one other class that we know of that they're going to add, and that's Death Knight. Now, at the moment, on Wrath of the Lich King Alpha, you cannot access the Death Knight stuff. Obviously, because they haven't sort of fixed them and balanced them and made sure they work properly. Right? And obviously they've got all the like leveling stuff to focus on at the moment. But realistically, there is a lot of the Death Knight stuff in the game files at least, that you can access, right, on any Wrath of the Lich King server. So if you go to like Dalaran or Warmane or whatever, there is a lot of Death Knight stuff that on Ascension probably won't get used. And this is where a lot of my ideas or solutions to the issue of everything's free problem that I believe is there. So, to begin with, my first sort of suggestion, or number 1, focuses on the reputation side. So, as you know, there is a zone in the game that is the Death Knight starting zone. And there's obviously reputation that links in with that is obviously Knights of the Ebon Blade. I currently don't have it because I haven't been there. My biggest issue is that stuff won't get used. Right, it just won't get touched. So, 2 or 3 of my solutions or ideas fix that issue. So, number 1, right, is basically they make a load of quests, all the quest stones that are available in the Death Knight starting zone become related to the way you unlock Death Knight abilities. So, for example, things like Death Strike, or Frost Strike, or Plague Strike, or Gargoyle, or blah blah blah, right? All of the skills and abilities that maybe people would want to use that aren't things like presences, right? Or Rune Forging. Obviously, Rune Forging should probably be there. But things like presences, I think some people might want to use and some people might not. And there's talk of them making them so they don't stack with stances or auras, or they work similar to one of them or both of them. Or my whole idea is focused around you guys, or players, going into the Death Knight starting zone, doing those quests, right, like you would a regular reputation in TBC or Vanilla or even Wrath. So, for example, like Cenarian Expedition or the Lower City, where you go into dungeons and you do rep or you do quests and you get the reputation, like Netherwind. And as you unlock the reputation, you unlock more of the quest zones, or more quests. Obviously, there is a limited number, they would have to add more and add dailies and things. But I don't see an issue with that, and they could obviously balance it out a bit better throughout, obviously, all the tiers they get released, but that's another idea. So this first one is you get all of these quests all available, straight away. Right, so you have 100 or whatever quests, or however many quests you need, some dailies or whatever, available pretty much straight away. So Instant Wrath is out, there's loads of quests here. And as you reputation up, so you go from neutral or even maybe hated, maybe they could do that, so it's a bit more difficult. Whichever they decide, doesn't really make much of a difference. One of them's harder, one of them's easier. But as you level up to like friendly, you unlock a sort of big quest chain that essentially allows you to learn one of 3 abilities. So for example, I'll do presences because it's easier than researching all of them when I don't have access to them. So you've got Unholy, Blood, and Frost, right? And you have to pick one of those, right? And you do not get to change that until you're exalted, and you can essentially redo the quest and change one of your abilities, one of those presences or one of those talented skills. And the reason why I think this might fix the problem of the basic Ascension, so Ascension's general issues, and allowing players to be able to customize the characters a bit better, is one, you only get one choice, you don't get multiple choices based on the spec. So if you, for example, know that you want to tank for Wrath, would go with whatever the tank skill is that's available. So for presences, it would be Blood. And the issue that I see coming, if they keep it like Warrior and Rogue and Priest and Druid and all that sort of stuff, is they're either going to have to nerf them a lot to make them fit with everything else, or make everything else buffed to match up with the Death Knight stuff. And the issue with that is you end up, some skills are insanely strong right now in TBC, in vanilla, and then they end up keeping that disparity while including Death Knights. And that's not particularly fair on those people that maybe would want Death Knight skills incorporated into their spec to make it stronger. So, you know, the shadow melee shit, right? Who might want some of the unholy stuff to increase their damage, to improve their sort of spec, but then gets hindered because you can pick all of them, so everyone just picks them and the damage goes up. The other thing that this sort of quest chain would fix is that every you unlock certain skills, it would require you to consistently play. The issue that Ascension has had since 2017 when it launched was the retention of players. It's very rare now, like me, that you see someone playing from 2017 without taking a break. I haven't taken a full proper break. I took time off from Underhall or Area 52 or the main no risk realm. I went to a league or season just for a few months just to take a break, maybe play some different specs, learn some stuff, meet some new people. Didn't really enjoy it, went back and then have stayed there since. Stayed on the no risk, main free pick realm. And the issue generally that you notice if you stay on one realm for long enough is that people come and go very quickly. So you might be, say, January, and by February people have left. People don't play anymore. And the issue with that is it doesn't fix guilds. Guilds generally have a problem of keeping people playing, right? Especially when you collect content. But having a consistent rotation of players and not keeping them long enough for them to enter raids enters the problem of this guild might die. And that's not what people want. People don't want guilds to consistently be rotating, right? It'd be nice to have the same sort of guilds through the whole of expansion, and then when you get to the end, you get to kind of see who's the best progressed, who's the top guild, and you get that sort of feel. Whereas in vanilla, you didn't really get that because you had multiple different guilds always at the top. So, obviously, as you know, this is Lighthouse Hope Chapel. This would be the basis of sort of the quest chain. You'd come here at, say, 68, like I am now, and you'd do a few quests that takes you around the corner into the DK starting zone. I'm not sure if it's open, so just bear with me. And you go do some quests, you do the quest chain, you learn some new skills. You only get to pick one of them, so maybe you gain 4 or 5. But you don't actually get to learn them because obviously they'd be in your spell book, so they'd appear up here, or obviously over here. and the AE you would spend, right, on, say, I don't know, a stance or a pet, could then be put into your DK skills. So you'd still spend AE on the DK skills and they'd still be available, you just wouldn't get all of them at once. You'd have to make clear-cut decisions depending on the spec you play. Right, or specs you play, because obviously you wouldn't get multiple different skills over multiple different specs. You'd get one skill per choice, per character. So say if you wanted to play a tank, you'd go for most of the blood stuff. But you wouldn't necessarily have the option to go in a different spec and pick all the frost stuff. You'd be stuck with the blood stuff, if that makes sense. Now that's idea one. Right, so a reputation grind that kind of periodically becomes relevant. But it's all available straight away, there's no locking behind doors, it's all available, you can just instantly get everything before the first raid tiers come out. Now another idea that I wanted is basically the same thing, so a reputation grind, but it's locked behind tier walls, so every raid, right, there is a certain set of skills that come out. I can't get through. Okay, in there. The reason why I feel like the locking behind the tier wall might work out better is it wouldn't hinder balancing as much as just having everything there, right there and then. Because you could have something that comes out before tier 4, balanced just for tier 4. Right? You don't have to balance it for tier 5 or 6 future down the line, because you would be adding new skills, right, or other skills in the DK classes, in the DK class, for tier 5 and for tier 6. You would obviously balance them as you go through, but they wouldn't necessarily force you to balance them all, just one tier at one time, one tier at one time, one tier at one time. I'm using tier 4, 5 and 6 as an example. It's easier to manage than doing the Wrath stuff. I feel like it generally would work out better, but it's generally the more, at least I feel, uncommon, unpopular one. Because obviously people don't like hard games. Fortnite. Now the other idea is basically having it so it's linked like it would be. So in here, like Warrior, you could pick them all, right? But you still have to farm out reputation, but instead of having to do a quest chain, right, you just do all the farm out the rep with a rep pot, and you buy an item from the reputation vendor that then unlocks these sets of skills in each spec. A lot less pain in the ass, but at least then it requires you to do something outside to gain the abilities. Yes, it pushes people who have a lot more playtime into the ability of being able to do it, but farming out reputation isn't that hard with things like reputation pots. Right, and obviously I think there's reputation tabards and things, and blah, blah, blah. It generally feels like a better option because it doesn't require a lot of balancing, things like in between each raid tier. It doesn't require a lot of quest making. It's generally just, here, go farm out this reputation vendor, and at the end of this reputation vendor, when you're exalted, you can pick up the cosmetic effect of the DK eyes and skin colours in the barbershop, if that makes sense. So you can pick between the two, and you get kind of a DK character. You get that sort of option. But, I generally like all those three ideas. I would prefer them over just having them there, because, at least in my mind, they are a hero class. Right? They should be decently strong. Right? They shouldn't be nerfed to balance around the rest of the classes. DKs are a hero class, they're the WoW's first hero class, and realistically we should respect that they are a hero class. Right? Currently we are counted as a hero, but we are not a hero class. Before anyone gives me shit in the comments, we are not a hero class. We are a druid. There's a reason why on the map we come up as orange, because we're druids. It's just easier just to name it hero. Right? But we are not a hero class. Right? Now, one of the other limitations that I would quite like, at least in the DK skill, because it truly kind of makes more sense, it means that you're going full DK, but again, doesn't really fit with Ascension, is obviously having you require this many talents to go down. So, like this, I can have 0 talents and go Blaze Dome. But no problem, I just click Blaze Dome. I would quite like you having to invest into the talent tree to be able to go down the talent tree. Not like tons where you'd need like 10 over 2 rows, but like you need 10 down to like sweeping strikes. Then you'd need another 10 down to like 2-hand weapon mastery. And you need like 15 down to the final one. So you've got a little bit of investment in the tree, so you're not just picking up a blood presence and then boom, or you're not picking up a skill and then boom, damage. You're kind of having to invest into the tree and be a bit more of a, bring a bit more of a theme to your spec via the talents. But again, it's up to the staff, it's up to the balance team. I just don't want DK skills to be basic bitch, because it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense that things should be this accessible when they're supposed to be strong, hero class, when the only other option to deal with them is fuck them over and nerf them. It doesn't feel right to me. Maybe you guys feel differently, but I just don't like it. But anyway, that's it for this video, at least. I'll be doing more stuff on Wrath Alpha, maybe in a few weeks. Work and things get in the way. And I'd like to be able to plan my videos out. I've planned this out quite a lot over the last sort of few weeks. The only other thing is obviously, please don't give me shit for this. This is just an idea. This is a suggestion that the staff can listen to, rather than me have to type it out in a Discord channel. But anyway, thanks for watching. Remember to like, subscribe and share, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.